Desiree's Dream. Chapter 6. The Perfect Gift. As the sun's first rays peeked over the horizon, Alex stepped out of his humble abode, his footsteps echoing on the cobblestones. Desi peered from her box, her heart heavy with sadness as she watched her friend disappear from view. She trusted he had reasons for leaving, so she stayed behind, her brow furrowed in a rare display of emotion. Sensing her disappointment, Candy petted Desi by gently rubbing her head on Desi's leg. Beauregard was doing his morning antics, playing with Andre, while Bandit sat on his hind legs with a piece of apple clamped between his front paws, consuming the tasty treat. Desi busied herself with tidying her wooden box, her sanctuary in this unfamiliar world. She carefully arranged her meager possessions, running her fingers over each item as if to impart a piece of herself into it. Satisfied, Desi sat in the corner, scratching Candy. Desi closed her eyes and let her mind wander. In her imagination, she was no longer bound by the constraints of being human. Desi was a fairy again, her delicate wings carrying her over the shimmering waters of Mobile Bay. She smiled as she watched the schools of playful mullet, their silver bodies flashing in the sunlight as they leaped from the water, only to plunge back into the depths again and again. Desi flew alongside the seagulls, their raucous calls filling the air. She giggled as she tickled their bellies, invisible to their sharp eyes. The birds chirped in delight, their feathers rustling as they shook with laughter. Her playful spirit led her to the Mobile Delta, where she spotted an alligator basking in the sun on a fallen cypress tree. With a mischievous glint in her eye, she landed on its nose, causing the creature to cross its eyes in confusion. Desi laughed with abandon, a peal of laughter that echoed through the swamp, before darting away just in time to avoid the alligator's snap. In her fantasy, she had a family fairy mother and father who loved her unconditionally. She pictured flying with them, exploring new worlds, and creating magical memories. Lost in her reverie, Desi didn't realize how much time had passed until the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the alley. Then, like a beacon, Alex appeared in the distance, illuminating the darkening lane. Desi's heart leaped at the sight of her friend, and she rushed to meet him. Alex's face was wreathed in a grin, his eyes sparkling with mischief. Under one arm, he held a box. And with his other hand, he slipped his hand under Desi's arm and cheerfully guided Desi to her box. He knelt by her side and retrieved the box from under his arm, setting it on Desi's lap. As Desi stared at the large box, she looked up with an innocent smile and said happily, "A gift for me?" "Yes, Desi, a gift for you," Alex said with a caring tone. Desi's hands trembled as she carefully lifted the lid. As her eyes fell upon the contents, time seemed to stand still. For the first time, Desi was genuinely speechless. Her eyes shone with unshed tears, and her chin trembled as she looked up at Alex. Without a word, she leaned into him, resting her head on his shoulder. Alex wrapped his arm around her, feeling the warmth of her tears seeping through his shirt. They stayed like that for an eternity, Desi's sobs of joy echoing through the alleyway. And there, at that moment, with the setting sun painting the sky in pink and orange, Desi held the greatest treasure she had ever known, a fairy book, a portal to new worlds and adventures. The sun's golden rays now bathed the alleyway in a soft light, casting an ethereal glow upon the scene. Alex stood, his tall frame blocking the sunlight momentarily as he rose, his eyes never leaving Desi's face. He wore a mischievous smile, his fiery red hair falling into his eyes, and his clothes were those of a traveler, worn and patched but clean. "I knew you'd like it," he said, his voice deep and warm. "But I didn't expect such a reaction," he softly said, looking down while kicking his boot's toe at the cobblestones. Desi, her face still wet with tears, looked up at him, her eyes shining with a mixture of joy and something deeper, something that hinted at a connection beyond mere friendship. "It's perfect," she whispered. "I've always wanted to explore new worlds, and now I can, thanks to you." Alex's smile softened, and he gently touched her shoulder. You deserve this and so much more. You've brought joy and magic into my life, and I wanted to give you a piece of that in return. Desi's heart swelled at his words, and she felt a warmth spread through her body that had nothing to do with the setting sun. She stood, the fairy book cradled next to her chest, and stepped closer to Alex. You've given me the world, she said, her voice shaky with emotion. Desi looked deep into Alex's eyes, searching for the words to say. After a short pause, she said, "One day, my dear friend, I will give you a gift you will cherish for the rest of your life."